Would you rather have a traditional or an egalitarian relationship? And traditional meaning, and what's interesting, because remember, earlier you told me that you were very comfortable with the man making more money.
Yes.
And that's more of a traditional relationship.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean the wife stays at home, but she could have the option to stay at home. Or I know that Chantel, you don't want children, so
Right.
I guess, but an egalitarian relationship, even if you don't have children, would be one in which you share household chores. You may have one joint bank account and keep some for yourselves. It's more egalitarian. Which one do you favor, traditional or egalitarian?
I'm like a little of both, like you said, because only because of my past experiences. Obviously that question triggers something in me, but I would say everything else in my relationships have always been very non-traditional. Like, I don't mind sharing the workload at home, and I would never want to be a stay-at-home ever. I would lose my mind. But I also have some very non-traditional views on just the aspect of relationships anyways, which we won't go into, but I'd say, yeah, I'm definitely not traditional.
You're not traditional. Open or closed relationship?
I could do either.
Ooh.
Yeah, I could do either.
I've
done both. I've done both.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, give me the pros and the pros for both. Open relationships?
I think open is just, you don't ever feel bad if you have these desires for someone. So many times I have friends who are like, oh, I feel so bad. I really want that guy. And they just feel awful, and some people, they're just not meant to be monogamous, and then they end up cheating on their significant other, which leads to a lot of damage. So there's the pro of that, where you can have that conversation of, let's go on this venture together. And if we don't like it, we can circle back, or if we love it, we just found our new thing that we can enjoy together.
So interesting, because I'm in a closed relationship and have been, and I don't have any views whether people are open or closed. I have a close relationship, but I'm not necessarily for everybody having a close relationship, and so I do get what you mean. I think the hard part is there has been no really good roadmap for having a very successful open relationship. And so what I try to take my couples through is this process of, setting expectations. What are the do's and don'ts? Oftentimes it's around not having an emotional relationship with that person, or that we only enjoy that person together, that kind of thing. And so I've had people who come in who have open relationships, and yet they've had a partner who's stepped out of the confines of that. But then when I probe deeper, it doesn't appear like there was a whole lot of dialogue about what's important to keep our relationship and to protect it. And once we protect that, what are we willing to do? What are we willing to open up? And that conversation often doesn't happen. It's like, oh, we've got an open relationship, and oftentimes we can bring someone in. And typically with guys, it's like they want another woman, but I feel it's kind of unfair that the woman doesn't get to have two guys.
Right.
So anyway, it's sexist. In its very nature. So I'm that's where I get ruffled a little bit. Anyway, thank you for sharing that. We'll go on. Let me know your thoughts. What is non-negotiable in a relationship?
I would think for me, a confrontational personality.
Okay.
Someone who just likes to argue, even if it's for fun. I don't enjoy that at all. And kids, I'm just not willing to let up on that.
Is somebody who wants kids.
Yeah, it's a hard no for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to negotiate it. I've made my mind up.
Yeah, you made your peace with that. And
Yep.
Have you dated people who tried to convince you?
Yes, I have. And it's very tolling on the relationship because they think you're going to change your mind just because you end up loving them or you're living together. And they're like, oh, you're young, you'll change your mind. I have not changed my mind. So it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, more and more women are opting not to have children.
I mean, and you know that it ended one of my relationships.
I do. I do.
He really wanted kids, and it just was not going to happen with me.
Yeah, so I think that's important to know. Yeah, because that changes one's lifestyle, one's bank account, where your energy goes. It's a huge undertaking.
Yes.
So, you guys are hearing the big truck go by. Okay. So, I love this question. What do you wish you would have learned from your parents about relationships?
Patience.
Ooh.
Patience with my partner, and to hear them, like actually hear them. So I think a lot of times when people talk and I'm in a relationship, they're saying these words, but I'm not actually hearing them and taking them in and understanding what they're saying to me. And that could just be my personality type, but I already have something that I feel like I need to say back. I'm like, okay, simmer down, just, take everything they're saying in and really hear what they're saying and understand it before responding. I don't think I saw a lot of that in my parents' marriage. And so I know that it's one of my things that I need to work on, for sure.
Yeah, that's important. Listening.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. And
huge.
Yeah, that patience is required when one is a good listener. And yeah, I think extroverted personalities, it's tough. Both of us are extroverts. And I think you've got so many things popping in your head. You want to just get it out. Yeah. And especially if you're not agreeing on something. Yeah, I see that a lot in the couples that I work with, that patience around just being able to hear your partner is really, really important. The good thing is that that that's an area of growth for
right.
you. And you can imagine if somebody doesn't know that it's an area of growth, that's the worst. I cannot tell you how that is the worst. It's like, I'll say something in session like, I noticed that while he was talking, that you were talking over him. I didn't realize I was saying, I have to try and get people to slow down so that they're aware of what's happening. So you're ahead of the game, you understand what's happening, and you're working on it.
Well, and I will tell you, the way I found this out was at a couples counselor when I lived in Florida.
Oh, really?
She was like, so you need to be listening. You're not listening. And I was like, I was. She's like, you're not? You're talking? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So therapy and counseling really does help.
You hear that, you guys? It does help. Yeah. I think that's important. No, it's really, really good. We're laughing about it. It's fun. It's funny. But when you're arguing with somebody and they're not hearing you and they're talking over you, you're just like, wait, you're defending even before I get
it's
my
not
word.
A fair fight, and I want to fight fair.
Yeah.
Because I think that fighting fair is just how you make a relationship stronger.
No,
and if I'm not
absolutely.
listening, then it's definitely not a fair fight.
No. That's good. Good self-awareness there.
Absolutely.
Good self-awareness. Okay. So, wish you would have learned listening and seen that modeled at home.
Yes, and just being patient, and not just jumping at the first thing that comes to my mind, That all kind of goes together, I feel like. Especially when fighting or having a conversation or making big decisions, because I'm just kind of like let's do it. And I'm like, hold on. I'm like, no, I don't want to listen.
Yeah. No, I think that extroverts too tend to process things pretty quickly.
Yes.
And like when I'm talking with Kevin, I'm like, okay, we're gonna do, and he's like, I need to think about that. I'm like, what do you need to think about?
I'm the same way. I'm like, I already made a reservation. We're not thinking about it. I'm like, well, dang.
Yeah, so it is important. I have to even slow myself down in my relationship too. So listening, I think we
Yes.
can all do more of that.
Absolutely.